Zack Snyder's Justice League is poised to rock the world when it comes to HBO Max in early 2021. But haven't we seen this movie already?
That feels like an oversimplification.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Devil Steed, and you're watching Devil Steed Entertainment. Justice League is a 2017 superhero epic written by Chris Terrio and directed by Zack Snyder, except it's not. Justice League is in fact a 2017 superhero spoof comedy written by Geoff Johns and directed by Joss Whedon. Snyder abandoned the project in 2017 after principal photography was completed due to the tragic death of his daughter. This was after he had already shot over 5 hours of footage for the film. Following Snyder's departure, Joss Whedon was brought on to oversee the reshoots, and alongside Geoff Johns, they proceeded to reshoot, recolor, and re-edit essentially the entire film, throwing away much of Snyder's original photography in the process. The film that we saw in 2017 was the unfortunate product of this Frankenstein's monster-like production method, and so it can hardly be said that it's in any way an accurate representation of Zack Snyder's vision for the Justice League. None of this is news. As a matter of fact, this is all a public record. There exists countless videos, articles, and interviews with the cast and crew, and even with Snyder himself, that lend credence to everything I've said in the preceding paragraph. Despite all of that, and despite the numerous pieces of evidence to the contrary, there are many within the film and superhero communities who, well, to put it kindly, express concerns that Zack Snyder's Justice League may fall into the same pitfalls as its 2017 counterpart. They believe that it will be the same movie. In this video, I'll be tackling 3 of the core issues surrounding Justice League, and will give the reasons that, based on what we know and what we've heard over the last few years, these issues will be fixed in the Snyder Cut.
Stop right there. I'm in.
You are? Just like that.
One of the most prevalent problems in Justice League is the handling of its characters. The primary characters that we are already aware of, Bruce Wayne and Diana Prince, suffer massive departures from what we've seen in previous films. Diana, who in her own film, 2017's Wonder Woman, is demonstrated to be a strong, noble Amazonian warrior worthy of all of our respect, maintains some of her heroism in Joss's film. However, this is somewhat undercut by the fact that, in the eyes of the other male leads, Diana is often seen mainly as an extremely attractive woman for them all to lust over, or at the very least, ogle.
Oof. You're gorgeous, and fierce, and strong, and
Bruce Wayne, who in BVS and in Suicide Squad is shown to be an unstoppable weapon of a man, is in Justice League turned into a sort of bumbling fool that the other characters mock and that the audience is meant to laugh at.
Well, I knew you didn't bring me back because you like me.
I don't... not...
These are huge departures from what we've previously seen from these characters, and in many senses, they don't seem to be connected to those previous versions of the characters very much at all. Taking a step away from our main players, we'll speak more on Superman later, we can see that the remainder of the main cast, the other 3 members of the core Justice League, are largely ignored and given little more to do than give quips and offhanded jokes. This is most apparent when we look at Arthur Curry, Aquaman, and Barry Allen, the Flash. Both of these characters have, quite frankly, hilariously shallow arcs, and they're reduced mainly to comic relief. An analysis of not only Zack Snyder's interviews over the last few years, but also of posts that he's made to his preferred social media platform Vero, can show that there were a multitude of deleted scenes that, had they been kept in the original film, would have greatly fleshed out the characters of both Arthur Curry and Barry Allen. These scenes include, but are by no means limited to, scenes of Barry Allen and his future love interest, Iris West, scenes of Aquaman and his future love interest, Mira, as well as at least 2 scenes involving Aquaman's mentor, Vulko, portrayed by actor Willem Dafoe, who was only one of many actors whose role was cut from Justice League altogether. It should also be said that relative newcomer to the silver screen, Ray Fisher, who portrays Cyborg, has recently revealed that the majority, if not all of his scenes in Justice League, were reshoots conducted by Joss Whedon and do not reflect what he and Zack originally planned for his character. We can expect that the Snyder Cut will show us more elements of Victor's backstory, including elements of his life pre-accident and the events of the accident itself. Ever since the 2017 film's release, Zack Snyder has repeatedly described Cyborg as the heart of his movie, and frankly, that's something that cannot be gleaned from Justice League. In Justice League, Cyborg simply seems to be a bit player. He pops in and out of the plot when he's needed, and certainly doesn't seem to be the heart, or in fact, any vital organ of that film.
Man, my toes hurt. I don't even understand the physics of how my toes hurt.
But the development won't be limited to the titular team. It's also worthy of note that the villains of the piece will also receive a much-needed facelift in the Snyder Cut. In Zack Snyder's Justice League, we'll learn more about Kieran Hines' Steppenwolf character, his backstory, his relationship with the other new gods of Apocalypse, and more clarity of his mission and purpose beyond being an unremarkable stock antagonist, as he is in the theatrical version. Speaking of Apocalypse, the character of Darkseid, portrayed by voiceover actor Ray Porter, will also be restored as a sort of looming threat within the film. It appears that Darkseid will serve less as a villain and more as an encroaching evil to be dreaded by our main cast. The looming threat of Darkseid and his approach, and the encroaching threat of Apocalypse itself, will be a driving factor in the plot and will tie in to the Nightmare storyline that was hinted at in Batman v Superman. Now, this talk of villains brings me to my next point. Let's talk about the action. Having seen the theatrical cut multiple times, I can say that the action of Justice League 2017 demonstrates moments of epicness and grandiosity befitting its scale, but for the most part, the action is choppy, unconvincing, and generally unimpressive. Say what you will about Zack Snyder, but anyone who's seen any of his films knows that none of these are terms which describe his trademark style of action. If anything, Zack Snyder shoots his action in a way that is overly gratuitous and overblown, if not fantastical. Even the most strict Snyder detractors will tell you that his fights and set pieces are anything but unimpressive. It's clear that in order to fit the 2-hour mandate that was pushed down by higher-ups at Warner Brothers, and possibly in an effort to make the film less violent and intense than Man of Steel and BBS, Johns and Whedon cut down the length of every action scene in the film. The history lesson, a sequence detailing the backstory of the Mother Boxes and the past war with Darkseid and the forces of Apocalypse, and the armies of Earth, that scene was actually cut down from a 10 or possibly 20-minute sequence into what in the theatrical cut amounted to a glorified flashback with some narration from Diana to explain what was going on. Snyder himself has described the sequence as Lord of the Rings or 300-esque, with blood, battle, and numerous warriors and armies clashing, something we only got hints and glimpses at in the theatrical film. One can easily imagine that the history lesson, as it's so lovingly called, will be comparable in length and scale to the Krypton sequence that opened Man of Steel. On the topic of opening action sequences, it seems that Zack Snyder's Justice League will not skimp on what has become a tradition in Snyder's films. Apparently, the opening scene to Justice League, or something very near to it, will be a sort of throwback to Batman v Superman, in particular the battle with Doomsday. A moment of this can be glimpsed in the trailer for Zack Snyder's Justice League. The final battle of the film, featuring the League fighting Steppenwolf and his parademons, was obviously cut down tremendously, and much of what is seen in the final film are reshoots conducted by Joss Whedon. It's plain to see that the CGI and choreography of these scenes simply don't mesh with Snyder's signature style, and in fact it appears that a lot of the final battle was recorded in reshoots that were implicitly somewhat rushed and pushed out to make the film end in a more tight and less overblown, dramatic, frankly less Snyder style. The final battle seems a good enough place to springboard onto my final point: Superman. The mishandling of the character of Henry Cavill's Superman is perhaps one of the saddest losses that occurred in Joss Whedon's Justice League. If I were to sign my thoughts off in a brief way, I think Snyder said it best when he wrote the phrase, "He has yet to rise." Frankly, I could do an entire video on the character of Superman alone, and many others have. One needs only to look at the now infamous CGI upper lip besmirching Henry Cavill's face to see that nearly every, if not literally every Superman scene is a Whedon reshoot. It appears that every piece of Superman dialogue was actually recorded after principal photography. I challenge the watcher to find more than a handful of shots where Superman's face appears, well, like Superman's face. Furthermore, the dialogue surrounding Superman, and nearly everything he says, appears to be, let's say, incongruous with the character that Zack Snyder built in Man of Steel and BVS. Superman is consistently quipping, making odd little remarks, saying non sequiturs, and acting strange. Like a parody of himself, like a parody of the image of Superman that has been projected. He seems to be, if anything, a theme park version of the Man of Steel that we've come to know.
I take it back. I want to die.
Now, Zack Snyder has not been very forthcoming about the specifics of his Superman arc, but based on the images and officially released footage, it is clear that the Superman in Zack Snyder's Justice League will probably bear very little resemblance to the hollow, catchphrase-spitting, and in many cases downright uncanny man of tinfoil that was paraded in front of us in November of 2017. Well, those are my 3 points. Honestly, if I had more time, I could probably expand this video into something rivaling the Snyder Cut itself in its length, if not in its quality. But not only would none of you want to watch that, but I need to get a jump on editing this video if it is going to come out on time. So, suffice to say, the film that we are set to receive in 2021 will not simply be a director's cut of what we got in 2017. It certainly won't be the same movie, as some have claimed. Rather, it will be a wholly new, and dare I say, better, 100% unfiltered Snyder experience that will be completely unlike anything we've ever seen before. And I can't wait. And with all that said, I've been Devilsteed. You're watching Devilsteed Entertainment. Keep watching, keep talking, and keep thinking. Good night, everyone. Oh, and hashtag us united.
I don't care how many demons he's fought and how many hells. He's never fought us. Not us united.